Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Michael Ornek. As you have already noticed, this episode is being filmed virtually with one end in the US and the other end in the UK. I'm excited to welcome Haktan Yildiz onto the show today. Haktan specializes in growing social media pages for personal trainers, and his methodology has aided in his clients' growth of hundreds of thousands of followers. Welcome, Haktan. How are you?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So I like to begin every single episode with a warm-up question. You're a very busy guy, and I'm curious to know what is the average day in the life?
I'm I'm an early bird, even though my body doesn't like to do it. I wake up around 5, 6 a.m.,
Mhm.
have my breakfast, go to the gym, do my workout for around 2 hours, come back around like 9:30, have my breakfast, and at 10:30, 10 to 10:30, depends on my schedule, I start working and I stop at 8 p.m., eat something, and sleep at 9. And repeat every day,
That's
including
perfect.
Sundays.
No rest days.
No rest days. I
Wow,
rest when I
that's
sleep.
that's very impressive. So you have created your own social media management business, and I'm curious to know, A, what inspired you to start this company, to start this foundation?
Ah, I started this business because I had to start that business.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a personal trainer. So I my story is I was a professional athlete. I was not good enough. I became a coach.
For
And
for
when
for lifting weights, right? That was the
I was a beach volleyball player. That was
wow.
my professional career. So I was living next to the sea. So
Sure.
I was a pro beach volleyball player. And then I was not good enough. I became a coach. And in order to be good at coaching, I did sports science degree and I did one master degree. And I was like, I was living in Turkey at that point, and
Mhm.
I was like, I don't like this country. Let's switch it up. And I applied for two unis in from UK. I got
Okay.
scholarship, full scholarship from both of them,
Sure.
and moved to UK. Did my second master degree in physiology. And after my master degree, I was like, okay, I guess now it's time to do personal training.
Hmm.
And one of my clients, actually my first client, was Najah Strength. Many of fitness related people will know that name.
Hmm.
She was my personal training client, and I was training her. And she didn't even have an Instagram. She had an Instagram, a private Instagram with like 128 followers. And that was her private thing. And one day she shared a content and made her account public for like 5 minutes.
Right.
And one of the big company owners, by luck, saw her content and said, I loved your content. Get to X amount of followers and I'm going to sponsor you.
Okay.
And Naja heard that and came to me and said, Haktan, can we do it? Because I was the camera guy. I was doing
Sure.
recording videos for my own personal training business.
Right.
And I said, okay, let's do it. We have nothing to lose. And after 2 months, we created a brand new account with 0 followers together. And after 2 months, she had 60K followers. She was a primary school teacher at that point, and she resigned. She got her first sponsor, and since then she is a full-time content creator. Once
Sure.
people saw what I've
And
done with
Haktan,
her, yeah,
I'm curious to know too. So you're coming from a personal trainer background, little bit of recording too. What do you think makes for a good personal trainer? What
being
skills?
a being a good athlete,
Hmm.
being a good athlete, because gym is all about discipline. It's not about how good you are. It's about being average long enough to create difference. Like, unless you want to become an IFBB pro, you don't need to train perfect. You just need to be okay in training long enough to see results. And once you see the results as proof in the pudding, you'll become a personal trainer. But I don't believe that personal trainers can be good when they don't practice what they preach.
Of course, they have to have the background too. It would be a little bit amusing if you had a bit of a chubby personal trainer telling you what to do with your body.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with life.
Right.
If you want to be rich, you wouldn't take advice from a homeless person.
No, of
It's the
course
same
not.
thing.
Of
Yeah.
course not. So when creating your social media management agency, first of all, what were some of the early challenges you faced along the road in creating a business?
My biggest early challenge was handling the workload
Hmm.
because that's a very new market and there's no expert on this area. There are social media gurus who claim to be expert, but there's not really expert and there's no one people trust. And once people saw Naja, another girl, came to
Hmm.
me, and I grow her to like in 6 months to over 100K, and then another came and I grew. At that point, the struggle was handling the clients, finding
Sure.
time to recruit more people, and finding time to sleep and edit everything. That was a struggle.
Yeah, and Haktan, how do you go about recruiting different clients? Do they come to you? Do you reach out to them?
So I don't reach out people.
Hmm.
My advertisement is my work, and luckily my work is actually advertising. This is called social
Sure.
media marketing. When people see my name on my influencers content and their profile, because my name is everywhere,
Hmm.
anyone who wants to be like one of my influencers just reach out to me, and that's my acquisition process.
Okay, and then you mentioned earlier on, right? When you're starting this, whole new social media management, when you're entering this market, people don't know too much about it. It's a new and booming industry. How did you educate yourself on being able to provide advice for other people to grow their pages if you didn't know much yourself in the first place? Well, if there wasn't much information for you to educate yourself on.
Yeah, so I think that's a instinctive thing.
Hmm.
I think it's knowing about little bit sales, little bit marketing, little bit human psychology, little bit videography and stuff, and
You said radiography.
yeah, videography, a little bit
Is that how people
videography.
interact with text? What's this discipline or
Do you
subject?
mean the videography?
Oh,
Videography?
I understand. I thought you said radiography, and I was very
No,
confused.
no, no, no. It's
Okay,
videography, like camera
sure.
stuff. Yeah, storytelling. Storytelling is the most.
Hmm.
I think the most important thing which helped me to do social media was the COVID period. In COVID, I read like 130 books, and it helped me to understand. It gave me the instinct of good storytelling because I
Hmm.
read like good writers like Dostoevsky and stuff. They taught me what a flow what a flow of a story needs to be considered as a good story and to capture people's attention. And
Sure.
when I summarize it to 10 seconds, it became reels.
Right. And what is necessary to make the flow of your story captivating and draw your audience in?
Okay, so that's the most important thing on social media.
Hmm.
Cap Stopping people to scroll and keeping them in your video, because different in social media and in real life and YouTube, I come to you intentionally to listen to you. So I have an intentional decision. But on TikTok and Instagram, I don't know you. I don't care about what you say. So in the first 3 seconds, you need to prove to me that you are someone that I need to care about.
Hmm.
And this is called hook. In the hook, you need to say something which you are credible, and you need to say something which is going to tell me what the video is going to be about without giving the main message of the video.
Of course. And one thing that stood out to me is you said credible. That was the first adjective you used to describe how you gain an audience in. And I very much applaud that mindset you have. If that's the first thing you say, that means you're you understand what you're doing, and you're not trying to dissuade your audience into some sort of fake social media trap. Credibility definitely does stand out. Now, on that subject, how does one build their credibility in the social media space?
It depends on their industry. So fitness is a lucky industry for that perspective. You show you know what you do by showing your physique and your muscles. So
Sure.
that's the source of credibility for fitness. And it depends from niche to niche. If you're a business coach, your credibility is coming from the car you drive, the mansion you live in, and these kind of things. Like you need, because especially for short form content, no one cares about the words like doctor, PhD, and all of these things.
Sure.
I need to see that credibility with muscles, with car, with, I don't know, rewards behind you. It needs to be visual, that credibility. You
Right.
can't say I'm good.
Did you learn anything about this in terms of credibility in social media while you were while you were in university?
No, no,
No. So
no.
you got your degrees in physiology, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
And what did you do upon graduation?
like just after graduation.
Yeah.
Uh, I did my first master's degree. I wanted to become a lecturer. That was
Right.
my dream. And I was just like, if you go to PubMed or Google Scholar and type my name, you'll see an article. Like
Sure.
that's what I wanted to do.
A lot
And
of research, right?
I was just researching after my graduation. And after the graduation of my second master's degree, I just tried to become a personal trainer. And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. What was so appealing to you about lecturing and research?
It's it's all about what I needed to know to get to the next stage,
Mhm.
because I don't want to steal people's money. And if I
Right.
take your money and not deliver the results that I promised, I'm not going to feel good. So
Of
that was
course.
the main reason I was doing research. I took money from people and I promised I'm going to do that for you. You are going to
Right.
get followers and grow on social media. And I did what I did for with my previous clients, and sometimes it didn't work because the content you create needs to match with your personality. And
Mm-hmm.
then I did researches. I tried to find people with the same personality with my clients, and I analyzed what they did, and I applied it on my client and see how my clients reacted that style and learned how to create style. It's like doing
Yeah.
lots of reps creates the information.
Of course. It also creates intuition, so you know what to do before you even need to think about it, as you've done it before. And your time spent in academia, researching different topics, understanding them, getting a good grasp, and making sure the people who are investing in you are getting something in return. I never thought about it, but I can see how it applies to social media management in general, because you're going in, you're researching what's going on across different social media platforms. You're seeing what works, what doesn't. You're creating a thesis, and you're actively going out and applying it to different clients, and you're matching up different clients' personalities in order to help them grow. And I don't know very much about social media and social media growth, but I'm becoming increasingly aware how complicated it is to become successful in the industry. Now, you were mentioning that you earlier on, maybe still to this day, you're making mistakes. You might not have been able to help an individual grow their social media, which of course, it comes with the profession. Were there any other unexpected outcomes, good or bad, while you were creating this business? In
Yes,
addition to
there was.
people maybe being unsatisfied or overly satisfied at the same time.
Yeah, there was unexpected outcomes. I just wanted to add something you just
Yep.
said.
Shoot.
And I think science and universe, like science education in university is amazing,
Mhm.
and I took advantage of what I've learned in science education. I used ChatGPT
Yeah,
to run. I use ChatGPT as my SPSS. Do you know SPSS?
I don't know.
SPSS is a software that we analyze our data. It gives like
SPSS.
if there's a significance difference or not. It's like it does the multivariate analysis, correlations, and causations, like
Mhm.
everything.
Oh,
So what I've
okay.
done is I extracted the data
Mhm.
from all of my clients, like their likes, comments, saves, everything that you can imagine, convert it into a PDF, and input it to ChatGPT and said, find me the most important factor for going viral. And
Um,
ChatGPT told me the most important things, the golden ratios, and everything. So I try to hit these things.
and ChatGPT has been effective at doing that. I mean, given the growth your clients have had.
Yeah. I was checking, like that was the detail I was going into with ChatGPT.
Sure.
I was saying, create me the importance of likes on getting views, or the timeline of it over the last 6 months, and it was
Mhm.
changing me how likes gets more important or less important over time with the algorithm. And
Okay.
because we have huge amount of data, even a small algorithm change shows on line graphs.
Sure. Sure. I'm curious to know too. I know we're getting sidetracked into the AI realm, but it is very relevant to what's going on with social media. Now, how do you find balance between your own work output versus what the AI is doing for you? How are you um, trying to find that balance between what's yours versus what can be done in a snap of a finger?
I don't I only point that we use AI is
Mhm.
to create a YouTube titles
Sure.
and just come up with video ideas, but we don't take we want to people understand, people feel it when you fake
Mhm.
something, or if a video idea doesn't belong to you, people just
Of
feel it. That's
course.
why we use AI very limited.
Yeah. Yeah. And where do you see AI going in terms of, I guess, in the realm of social media? Where do you see
I
progressing
think
to?
okay, this is my speculation. I
Yeah.
think in very near future we are going to have lots of AI personalities, and these AI personalities will be very fun and entertaining, and they will
Yeah.
be amazing to watch until people realize all these AI profiles serve for a bigger purpose, which doesn't serve for the benefit of public. And that is going to be the point that AI profiles will start to lose their effect. But meanwhile, having AI profiles will increase the value of human influencers, because when AI comes into the competition will go so high, all below average influencers or content creators will drop out. They are going to stop.
Mhm.
Only the best ones are going to survive. And after 2 years, imagine if you are one of these influencers, you are going to
Sure.
be unique and so much valuable because you will be rare at that point.
What what traits do you think make for a successful influencer?
How confident you are with yourself, including your weaknesses, and
Hmm.
how honest to yourself, how honest you are to yourself. Because I know people, and I've seen people who has XYZ insecurities, and I love my clients, and I have close relationship with all of them, and they tell me how they feel and their insecurities sometimes, and I'm like, what you are experiencing and what you are telling me is something very valuable. And I know everyone feels like that and no one talks about it. And you are someone everyone look up to. Imagine if you talked about it in front of the camera, how beneficial it can be to everyone else. And that takes a lot of courage to do, because when you do, people attack you, and people also don't want to accept their faults, their negative sides. And when they talk about it, they know it's going to be more real. And when you are in peace with your personality, with your ups and downs, that's going to create a good influencer, because that's what people need.
It really is a virtue to be humble, to be vulnerable, especially if you are at such a high platform. People see the humanity in you. You become level with them. You become more relatable too, because if you're able to show you're going through things that everyone else is, you're no longer this influencer put on a pedestal above everyone else. You're going down and showing people, hey, followers aside, this is me, this is what I'm going through. One of my friends, she is a fitness influencer, and recently posted a video saying, hey, I don't know if I want to be a doctor, and I'm in this education, and it's conflicting with how I feel about lifting, and it's making me feel this emotional juxtaposition of what's going on. And that video did so well because she was vulnerable, and that just ties into your entire point again. But then it brings up the question, you can either be authentically vulnerable, or you can be sleazy about it and you can act vulnerable even though you're not, to try and get that emotional appeal to your audience. Does that make sense where I'm coming at?
Yeah, and you, when you are an experienced consumer, you
Mm-hmm.
see which one is
I like how you
genuine and
phrased
which,
that, experienced consumer. Yeah.
yeah, you can spot who is genuine and who is
Mm-hmm.
not genuine. Right now, I see people who show how amazing their life is and how amazing they are, until they go to a bad period. They are going through a bad period, and in that bad period they say, I'm the son of Jesus, I love God, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't talk about any of these things when you
Of
are
course.
shining, and it makes it just not genuine. And also you deserve, so I'm very much about earning stuff, and I think you deserve to be cared about what you think and what you go through when you have enough success, because influence comes from success. No, that you can't have you can have followers, you can have 1 million followers but have no influence on them, because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have any success.
Right.
So you need to be very successful to be able to have influence. And when you have influence, what you feel, what you think matters. And at this point, authenticity will amplify your value.
Yeah. And I don't think AI can replicate authenticity.
No, it
No,
can't.
I'm with you. So I'd like to. I'm currently myself in the middle of learning how to start a business. It's something that I'm very interested in. People who have done that, like yourself, I find a lot of inspiration in it. So I want to go back to the unexpected outcomes, both good and bad, when you began your business as a social media manager.
The unexpected outcome. The good unexpected outcome was actually proving me that I'm wrong on what I'm thinking. The good outcomes were, sometimes I clash with my clients. They want to create content and I say, no, that's not going to get views. That doesn't serve for our purpose. But they have the last say, because that's
Of
their
course, yeah.
face in front of the camera. And I say, okay, let's do it. And sometimes that video goes very well. It gets millions of views. And I say, whoa, I was wrong. people also want to see that. So right now, because of this experience, because of this downs, I'm open to any kind of content, and any kind of content actually does well.
Yeah.
So that was the one unexpected thing. And the other unexpected thing was, in the initial phase of my business, I was thinking, let's get followers, views, millions. And like in the first year of my company, my clients gained over 500K followers, which is a big number for me.
Of course.
And unexpected thing was, followers didn't mean anything. Okay, we have followers. So what do we do now? Okay, we have 100K, then we hit 150, but nothing changed. We don't make more money. Our life is not better. Nothing changed. So then it's not about followers. It's about something else. And then we figured out what it is about. And we figured out that it's influence. It's not about how many number you have. It's about how much people care about you. And then we were like, okay, what kind of content make people care about us and what we say? So that was the first slap on my face, that I was also wrong again. Numbers are not
Sure.
everything.
Yeah, I mean, I think the same thing, but it's also important that you're willing to clash with your clients over creative differences. You're not a yes man. You're not just agreeing with everything they say. Like, yeah, okay, we'll do this, we'll do that. But if you disagree with something, you're holding yourself and your client accountable. And if I was a fitness influencer looking for a manager, I'd want someone who can butt heads with me, because it just adds to the creative process. Now, you're in the midst of finding and achieving success as a manager, but I'm curious to know, if you could go back in time and do one thing differently, what would that be?
I would be expert on long form content, not short
Hmm.
form. That would be the difference.
And what is the difference between being an expert in long-term content versus short-form content?
In short form content, it's all about consuming. It's not about connecting. When you create short, let's go with an analogy. Let's think about reading books. If you read a book, one page per week, you don't really understand the book. You don't really connect the book, right? But if you read 100 books in one row, it creates a connection. Short
Yeah.
form content and long form content is the same thing. If you see me for 10 seconds every day, it is going to be less effective than seeing me continuous 1 second per week.
Sure.
So with long form content, there's a connection. You have time to know me and what I'm going through and everything. But short form is more about just creating something to be consumed. And in short form content, it's very easy to fake. That's why I can say I can give anyone 100K followers, because
Yeah.
anyone can fake for 15 seconds. And that's
Of
why we
course.
see social media gurus. Anyone can fake for 15 seconds. And these fakers reduces the value of us, which is not a complaint, it's just what it is. And now we need to create something different or more effective to create that connection with short form content. But the short form content is very, again, still so much valuable,
Oh, of
because
course.
if I have something very good that I can help with people, and if one video goes to 5 million people and bring me 1,000 people, I wouldn't have this 1,000 people if I didn't have that short form
Oh,
content.
yeah. That's
So
at least for my podcast. That's the only reason why I do short form content, to attract people to the long form conversation. I try and find little snippets that I thought were cool or that are appealing, to just get people to view the longer form. content. So I think, from my perspective, you're right. There should be a balance between the two, not just one, but both.
Yeah.
And in terms of growing yourself as a manager in the fitness industry, how do you continue educating yourself in your field, or I guess maybe in other different subjects, categories to make you more of an expert as a social media manager?
Unfortunately and luckily,
Okay,
there's not much people that I can learn from.
sure.
I would love to know someone who do what I do in that genuine level without faking it.
Hmm.
But because there's not much information source, that there are people like Gary Vee who says just do the volume,
Yeah,
and they are right. But you can talk about a lot of things if you have a lot of experience and achievement and fuck ups. If you don't have any of
I,
these, which is you can't have experience when you're 20, then what are you going to do?
yeah.
Then I just trial and I just fail all the time. I fail every week.
No, you learn
And
every week. You don't fail, you learn every week.
yeah, and I fail, I
Yeah.
learn from these experiences. And as a manager, how I improve myself right now is find a problem, obsessed on that problem to solve it, create multiple plans, run all of them at the same time, and see which plan is going to win the competition.
Mm.
Once I find a champion, create more plans, run the competition again.
Yeah, and I actually noticed, so on your Instagram page, you have a master class on
Yeah,
how people can get more followers, if I'm not mistaken. I didn't really look too in depth on it. Now, I do want to talk about it later on, but you have experience in building a community. Why not build a community of other social media managers? Why not put your foot out there in terms of that? Create content to attract other social media managers, so you guys can develop community. Because for me, my interests are also very niche, things that I do not a lot of people do. And the way I grow is I actively search for people and surround myself with them, become better in that way. So what's stopping you from getting other social media managers? Because there must be more out there.
I would feel like a fraud. I
Why?
don't think I have enough achievement to uh lead a community.
But
I'm
it's
I'm
not leading. I'm not trying to say lead, like just create the community so people can come together and grow amongst each other. I never meant lead. Um, but just create that community.
Yeah, it's just work. It's like if I create the community, okay, now I have another thing to obsess. Okay, how am
Okay,
I going to let other managers know that that community exists? And then it's going to just I will have
I
one more thing in my mind, and I don't want one more thing in my
I
mind.
understand. So you're an
Yeah,
obsessive person, right? You focus on one thing, and then from 9:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. it's all you can do.
yeah, yeah. That's it. That's it. I want
Yeah,
to
I
be very good at in a very tiny thing.
you want to be a specialist.
Yeah,
Hmm. So I'm reading this book. Well, I finished this book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, by Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know if you've read it during your
yeah. I
130
did.
bucks
I
over
did.
COVID, but he argues against specialty. He argues that people should be able to develop themselves across different facets in order to become the head of their own business. I'm curious to know, because I haven't fully developed my own opinion on this matter. I'm curious to know what you think about that theory.
I think when you start a business, you already go with that road. Let's start from this
Sure.
dot. This dot is content creation. It was my first dot. I created the content, and this part is running smoothly because I know what to do. And the next point is managing people, like managing my
Hmm.
influencers. And I learned that. Next point was, let's say, PR, how to brand yourself. The next point was how to monetize, and the next point. So each step, after I solve each problem, I found a next bottleneck, and I solve also that. And after a year, when
Sure.
I looking at it, okay, I specialize on each of them to solve them, and now I know about like all of these things. So at the end of multiple specialization, you become a good generalist. That's how I think. Specialize on multiple things to become a generalist.
Right. To specialize on multiple things to become a generalist. Also, I've been meaning to ask you, when did you start your social media agency? How
12th
long ago?
12th January 2023.
12th of January 2023. And
1 year, 1 month ago. Yeah.
congratulations.
Thanks.
Now, often, first the initial stages of building a business is quite difficult and burdensome. What advice would you have to people starting their own business to begin to get through those initial stages of difficulty?
Don't care about yourself much.
Don't
You
care
don't
about
need to
yourself.
sleep. You don't need to
Okay.
eat well. You don't need to socialize, go to holiday, have friends.
Mhm.
If you don't do these things for a couple of years, you'll survive. And at the end of 2 years, you will have lots of amazing stories to tell. And everyone will want to hear what you have to say because you will have an influence and achievement.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, you are just a regular dude.
So I very much agree with you on don't care what other people think, don't care about going out, but diet. Why do you say you shouldn't have to care about what you eat?
Because cooking takes time, and you don't have time for cooking. If you care about your diet,
Right.
you are not going to work enough. At this stage of my life,
Right.
I was doing both personal training and running my agency, and my gym is 24 hours. My gym was 24 hours, and I was sleeping in disabled toilet
Mm-hmm.
at night because I don't have time to go back home.
Yep.
It's 45 minutes. It's 45 minutes of sleep. I'm not going to lose that.
Yeah.
I
Of course.
was because my personal training clients start like at 5, at 6, and it's already 11 when I finish the work. There's no point of traveling. At
Yeah.
that point, I was sleeping in the gym, and my clients were bringing me food
Mm-hmm.
because they knew that I don't have anything to eat.
Right.
And every like 3 days, I was going home, do my laundry, pick up new clothes, and go back.
Right. So I do appreciate you sharing that part of the story, the obsession regardless of your circumstance. The way I see diet, however, no, I don't think you're trying to say, um, the quality of the food matters because for me, whatever I eat is directly correlated to my energy levels and my output. If I'm eating quality food, that I can still find quality food and not go out and to the grocery store and cook it. I can find other ways, like nuts, fruits, protein bar, and I feel amazing. My mind is clear. But say
Yeah.
I, go and eat junk food, overload on carbohydrates. You're a personal trainer, you definitely know this, but my mind gets all groggy. For me, this is something that I've recently discovered and come across. I've become obsessed with optimizing my diet um, to increase my output rate and energy levels because has a huge impact on me as a person.
Yeah, that I completely agree. Like what I meant was, don't be perfectionist. Just go to
Yeah.
grocery store, buy a carrot, buy a cucumber that you can just wash and eat, buy a
Right.
sandwich, and go back to work.
For sure. For sure. Where during this time, how did you find the motivation to keep going? You're sleeping in the bathroom stall, in the handicapped bathroom stall at the gym. You're working all the time. You don't have a lot of sleep. I don't know where you were at with finding success in your business, but what made you keep coming back? Was it necessity? Was it passion? Where did this come from?
You do things when you have to do things. So
Mhm.
at this point of my life, so when you are from an underdeveloped country, which is Turkey, there is not much options you have. And after my master degree, I was on a 2-year visa, and that's not extendable or renewable. After 2 years, if you don't have a reason to stay, they kick you out from the country.
Yeah.
And if I go back to country, if I go back to Turkey, I'm going to go to the military.
Hmm.
And in military, who knows where I'm going to be? I
Right.
might be in a mountain trying to kill terrorists and die or lose
Sure.
one of my legs. Like I have friends who died in
Right.
military, and anyone over 18 needs to go there. And I don't
Mhm.
want to die. And and it's my age. If I go back to Turkey now, in airport they are going to pick me up to military.
Wow.
And so, what is my option? It's not like it's not on me to say I want to sleep more today. Haktan,
Hmm.
do you want to sleep more and go to the military, or do you want to do something
Sure.
and just succeed? Like I had to succeed. There was
Yeah.
no other options. That was
I
the
mean,
reason.
necessity and pressure is often one of the most powerful driving forces there are. Um, and your story is amazing. I mean, the first time we talked, I mentioned my father is Turkish, and when he came, excuse me for just 1 second. Yeah, so when my father he came to the U.S., he was also on a visa. He was getting his PhD, and once his visa was expiring at X time, and then at first he was okay going back to Turkey, but then he met my mom in college, so he had to work extra hard in his studies in his postdoc to become a citizen of the U.S. He ended up going to the military in Turkey for 1 month, but he was he was he was just fine. Yeah, I've I'm a little bit different. I can't obsess over one thing. I need to have different parts of my life, and I'm fortunate enough to be in a position where I can do such things to develop myself more holistically, and I can't focus on one thing. My mind doesn't work that way. Now, Haktan, for your company, do you have a mission statement?
Make all of my friends richer.
Make all of
Make
your
all
friends.
of my friends so rich.
Hmm.
That's the mission.
No, rich in what? Financially, experience.
Money. No,
Okay.
I want all of my friends to be extremely rich.
Hmm.
That's the aim.
Right. Um, and your friends are your clients too, as you said. You're maintaining.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Now, how do you maintain a relationship with your clients such that you're able to be friends with them?
I on average, I spend with my clients 4 hours every week. Like yeah. And when when we start our sessions or meetings, we have a small chat like in the
Hmm. Of
beginning. How did you sleep? Blah 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 blah. And I ask, what tell me something good about your life.
course.
And once they do that every hour, every meeting, you just know a lot about the other person, and you get to like the other person, and you become just friends.
One thing at a time. Yeah.
Yeah.
If friendship is also one of the most powerful tools when it comes to networking and resources. With me, with my friends, I'd never think twice about being generous with them. What I have is for them. I think for me that also comes culturally from my background, especially my Turkish background. The Middle Eastern hospitality is no, I've never experienced nothing like it before. So
Yeah.
going back to social media, what do you, and we've talked a little bit about this, but I'd like to learn a little bit more. What do you like and dislike about it, about what's going on right now? What works, what doesn't, what's good, what's bad?
What works and what doesn't work is always the same.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something called flow theory. Once you give enough stimulation, like your brain has a capacity to process stimulation. If you over stimulate your brain, you will feel overwhelmed. If you understimulate your brain, you will feel bored. And there's a perfect amount of the stimulation you give. And when you watch like Game of Thrones, you lose the track of time because you're in the flow state. It's the perfect level of stimulation. In the content, as long as you hit that flow state, you go viral. Anything which gives enough stimulation to the brain goes viral. This doesn't change. Good content and bad content are the ones who doesn't give enough stimulation or who overstimulates the brain.
But wouldn't you say that's relative to the individual? Because not all content is made for all people. Some content might be made for individuals who are specialized in something. Let's say it could be on supply chain or human factors engineering. That for an engineer might be very, very stimulating, but for someone else, they don't care.
If they see the content, that's it. If they see the content, let's say you like podcast microphones, and I always talk about podcast microphone, but none of my friends like podcast microphones. Yeah. When I make a video about it, Instagram is going to show it to 10 people. None of them is going to interact, and Instagram will think, oh, that's a bad content. Let's not push out it anymore. So you are not going to see that. Right. So what I do is to create a microphone content for everyone so you can also see it. That's why we have to on social media, unfortunately. We have to serve for the algorithm. Algorithm wants we clash with the algorithm all the time. I want to find my niche, but algorithm doesn't serve to niche. Algorithm serves to itself. Instagram wants to make money, and they make money by keeping people on screen, because if they say users are spending that much time in my app, they can sell their ads for higher prices. So if I keep people less on screen, I'm not going to serve for algorithm, and you are not going to see my content. That's why I have to hit that flow state. There's no other option.
Well, what about this? You're able to create your own audience, your own influence first by catering to the algorithm. And then after that, deciding to go niche. What would you think about such a strategy?
Yeah, that's a good strategy, and that's what we do. That's what we do. We have stages with growth. Let's say from 0 we get to 10K followers with viral content. We chase virality until 10K, and at 10K we slow down and we create for 1 month, 2 months what we want to create, and see how many people like it, and we take these people and put them into our community. I'm very much into communities, like these school communities. We put them into the community and we grow again to 30K. Stop, collect people, put them into community, grow again.
Yeah, I'm just setting that. So when taking on a new client, what responsibilities are you undertaking, to get them from 0 to 10K, 10K to 30K?
My responsibility is to teach them how to write a script, how to tell a story, and how to use their camera and their microphone, and keeping them accountable. When they make mistake, I just tell them what the mistake is, and that's the whole responsibility I have. from 0 to 10K is not really hard. It's like I did one type of content with 5 different people, and 5 of them was viral. And with with 2 of these my clients, I did the same content for like 3 times. And even though it's the same content, like everything is the same content, same person, each time it went viral. So it's not really hard to go viral or like get followers.
It's just following the algorithm, understanding the algorithm.
Yeah, if they do what I say, like structure your story that way, use this angle, don't shoot yourself while bench pressing, because people need to see your face to connect in the first second. And if you start on bench press, people will not see your face, or it's not a pleasurable angle to see your face. Like these kind of things.
Do you continue educating yourself in terms of literature after COVID? Are you still reading? Because you're very busy. You've mentioned that before, but are you continuously reading?
Like sports stuff?
No, just books.
No. Unfortunately.
Okay.
Unfortunately. I see the effect of it in my day-to-day life. When I talk with other people, I see the conversation always come to business because that's my interest. But I would love to consume the other kind of content so I can be more fun person. But right now, that's the stage of my life.
Yeah, and I've noticed reading is a luxury. I'm in college right now. There's times when I can read. There's times when I just can't, when I don't have the time. It's also an excuse I can always find the time, but I can't find the time to appreciate reading. And that's something that's very important to me, because I notice the more I read, you read enough books, I really think it's the equivalent of a college degree. You watch enough YouTube videos on a subject, I think you're going to get a very similar outcome as you did with a college degree, and that kind of sparks something else up. Do you see social media management and influencing as a subject coming up, or even a major at university?
It can be a module. It can be a module. I think that's it. Social media is not, it's nothing important.
You don't think it's important?
No, I think universities needs to focus on more like viral things, and they do focus on more vital things. And social media is just random people doing random stuff in front of the camera. I think it can be a module in like psychology and marketing and this kind of stuff, but I don't think it's going to be a degree by itself. I hope it doesn't, because if it does, like if I was a bad person, I could manipulate thousands of people.
Yeah,
and that's not a good thing.
Right. But you're looking at it also from the negative point of view too. What happens if what happens if it's a good person with an impactful message who goes and influences millions, who knows, billions of people?
Yeah, and then we come to a very we come to a philosophical problem here. What is good and bad? Because if I say, so let's say UK, smoking is not illegal. Smoking joint is not illegal here. Buying is not illegal. Selling is kind of illegal, but everyone sells, everyone smells, no one does anything. And that's not a bad behavior.
Right.
Like, because they don't harm anyone. But when you think about it, that thing is coming from an underdeveloped country's mafia. So, and this mafia is doing bad things. It's all about like, let me give you another example.
Yeah.
I do something good for my community, and it can end up something bad in, let's say, India. I created a clothing brand for my niche, and my niche love that clothing brand, and by mistake, the factory that I'm paying is working with children.
Okay.
So there's no good and bad. Everything's good and bad. And
Yep.
when I say, oh, let's say China. Let's say China.
Sure.
There was a study. There was a paper, which compares what kind of content goes viral in what countries.
Mm-hmm.
And in China, more engineers, doctors, and these kind of people are going viral.
Mm-hmm.
And here in UK, different kind of things are going viral.
Yeah.
So which country is doing good? Which country is doing bad?
I'd say
Be-
China's doing good.
so if we think like that, we'll say China's economy is going to rise and Western economy is going to go down, and all of these people are going to suffer. So there's
But
always a bad and
but
good.
that's what's going on though. The Chinese economy is only going up, and the West is like it's I
Yeah.
mean, while China goes up, the West goes down. And if you look at the young generation, who are they being influenced by? They're being influenced by engineers, doctors, lawyers, um, by people
So
who are more trained ethically. I think that's how that's what it comes down to too. These professions, there's a lot more ethics involved in them, and a lot less manipulation.
yeah. So when you get to that manipulation, I can say my kid needs to go to a private school. So
Mhm.
to do good to my kid, I need to manipulate people.
To do good to your kid, you need to manipulate people. Yeah, because people are greedy, right? Uh, uh, Others will suffer um, at
Yeah.
your expense for you to do fine, and it is a sad truth, right? To
That's
get
how
up there.
bad people talk to themselves.
Mhm. Yeah,
I had to do it.
it's how
Yeah.
it works, right? It's being aware of it too. But you're right. Yeah, there is a good and a bad to every side of the coin. But also, you're saying that if a bad person was to to pursue a degree in social media, they could use it for to spread a lot of ill will and hate. But I think they could do the same thing. Let's say they wanted to become a lawyer, they wanted to go into politics. They could also pursue a different major that's already established, that's already institutionalized to spread evil.
I
I
think
really,
there's
please.
a, there's a human factor there. If I'm a lawyer and if I see a lawyer inferior to me, like I'm his superior, and I see that person is doing bad stuff, I'm not going to promote him. So there's that human control mechanism which
Mhm.
regulates good and bad. But on social media, there's no regulation.
Between good and bad. Do you think that if it became more institutionalized, that there would be more regulation, or do you think that there would be less regulation?
There will be more and more like regulation.
Hmm.
But at the end, Instagram is a profitable company. They
Of
are going
course.
to regulate everything for their benefit, not for people's benefit.
Yeah. I guess right. It does come down to the corporation, but I mean, I guess speaking to the U.S., right? There's a lot of corporations in the U.S., and I don't want to dive too deep into this, but they don't really care. They don't give a damn about the consumer. All they care about is money, and they're hiring engineers, they're hiring doctors, they're hiring lawyers. All they care about is the money. So, at least in the West, I'm speaking to the U.S. specifically. Like, money is going to be the main incentive. It's going to be the main driving factor where everyone except the people at the top are going to
Yeah.
suffer as a result.
If you want to become a good person, have enough money to manipulate everyone. That's
Yeah.
unfortunately the reality of the world.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And first, you have to get money too. It's something that my goal right now is to become financially independent as fast as I can, because A, that means I won't need to be manipulated. B, I can say what I want. I can gain my own influence, and then I can have the ability to exercise control over people and pray to God that I do it for the benefit of humanity as opposed to being greedy. But that's a philosophical debate down the road.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
let's go back to your masterclass, right?
Yeah.
So, in addition to social media growth and management being quite niche right now, and a new and emerging field, in terms of your masterclass, right? People have to subscribe to it in order to gain access to your content, which you worked hard for, of course. But what makes it so special? Why are people paying this premium in order to gain the information?
Because they want it so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's it. It's not about product. Without going into
Demand.
the community,
Yeah.
you don't see what it is.
Ah,
They want it, they buy it because they have a dream. I
that's
don't do
smart.
anything.
Yeah. You just cater. Well, you
And
cater to their demand. That's all there is
yeah,
to it. There's a niche market. And
yeah. And
also curious to know, what was the process like of designing your masterclass?
at that point I needed money, and
Mm-hmm.
I was like, let's find how to. I was like, if I charge £30, 100 people is going to make 3 grand. That's a good money. Let's do it. That was the thinking process.
Mm,
And because it was money focused, I didn't keep up much. I didn't obsess over it. I
right.
don't that community is not active in last 2 months because I just stopped.
Yeah.
My I don't want to teach people how to grow on social media because I know it's not going to help them to get close to their dreams. Their dreams is to try on their dreams is to get bigger online coaching business, and more followers are not the way.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I stopped believing it and I stopped it.
You stopped believing it and you stopped it. So, followers isn't the way of social media managers. So, I'm assuming it's influence, right? You show your results and that's how you attract people.
You only need, when you think like that, you only need 100 people to pay you £100 or
Mm,
$100 to make 10 grand. And
right,
10 grand is the goal of everyone.
right.
And you just need 100 people. That's it, 100. That's the number.
Also, sponsorships too.
Yeah, yeah. Like if you sponsorships is not about money, it's about status. And for money, it's just build influence, not followers.
Money build influence, not followers.
Yeah, build influence, not
Mm-hmm.
followers.
If it's not flowers. So, I'm also curious to know, for long-term content. Short-term content, it's easy. Well, not easy, but it's there's less variability per se. You need to attract your audience in the first 3 seconds by showing credibility and giving them a hook. And then they're in, you show your face, at least from what our conversation, that's what I've gotten so far. But long-term content, how do you attract an audience?
In long form, you can't pretend. And long form, the beauty of long form content is they are searchable, and you just need to do something that you don't fake, that you already do, and just document it and just do it long enough. Do you know Casey Neistat?
Yeah,
The
New York,
guy,
right? Yeah.
yeah, guy did 420 vlogs every day, and it was not interesting. He was not creating value. He was just showing his personality and his life,
Mm,
and people loved it.
yeah.
And that's what you need to do on social media. You need to do an average work a very long time.
Average work, long time.
And
Yeah,
that's right now there's no competition. There's no competition on long form content because everyone is following the shiny object, which is social media and short form content, and there's no competition on long form. That's why all these podcasts are blowing up, because there's no competition anymore on YouTube and podcasts. No one wants to do it. No one wants to do the work to see results while they're able to see the results in 5 seconds TikTok.
Well, I think people want to do it, but they're unaware of the consistent work that's required. So people tend to start these long-term projects, but they're lacking the foresight to see what's ahead. When
Yeah.
I started this podcast, I mean, first thing I had to do is teach myself discipline. In the past, if I was to create some sort of project, I would give up on it in the first, 2, 3 tries because I was so focused on perfection, getting it done right the first time. But that's not the case, you're learning via mistakes, one episode at a time, one client at a time in order to, create something out of yourself and your platform. And Haktan, before we wrap up, I'd like you to share some of your goals, what you're looking to get done down the road to bring things to a nice end.
My goal is to make, so for business goal, I want to make very small amount of people rich. I don't want to have 100 clients. I don't want to have even 10 clients. I want to have a couple clients, and I want to be the reason they have amazing life. That's the business goal. And for my personal goal, I want to be physically and financially strong enough to provide whatever life I want to provide to my family and to my kids in the future. That's it. Whatever money it requires, whatever power it requires, I'm going to get it.
Haktan, those were some very powerful words. I want to sincerely thank you for coming on the podcast today. Guys, we are back on the grind. We're trying to upload, once every other week, once a week, just get some consistent content out for y'all. If there's any suggestions you have from this episode, any ways in which we can improve, anything you like, dislike, be sure to comment down below. Like, comment, subscribe. Anything helps. We appreciate you guys, and thank you. Bye.